All right, hello and welcome back to the Damn Tonight Show. I'm here with Greg and Destiny Ware, owners and operators of the 1-to-1 bar for almost 20 years now. For those out there who aren't lucky enough to know you, kind of give me a quick rundown of who y'all are and what you do.
Well, we're just your regular, everyday old local live music venue. Been doing it for 16 plus years now, I guess. And we just do, 99% local music 7 days a week.
Now, I first met y'all when you were down on 5th Street back in like 2006 or 2007. How did all this start? How did 1-to-1 begin?
So we both were working in bar business before up north Austin, and
we kind of just decided
we start looking?
Yeah, we started looking because we were like, we could do this.
we could
do this on our own.
I was managing a club, and she was working at one, basically managing it for the most part too. And we started looking and came across this little place downtown that, of course, you had to sign a non-disclosure and all this other junk to find out what it was. So we went through that process with the broker and found out what the place was. And I went down and took a look at it with an old buddy of mine, kind of nonchalantly. It's kind of funny, you go in there thinking you're a spy, not letting anybody know you're there, looking to buy the place maybe. But anyways, the 5th and Brazos, 1-2-1, the address is 121 East 5th Street. It was called Truman's, was the name of the bar. Cool little place. But anyway, we kind of hunted that down a little bit, went and checked it out, and then really didn't hear anything back from the broker at all. Like, it just kind of went away, And it was the day after Christmas. It was December 26th, 2003. We were in El Paso visiting my family for Christmas, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock Austin time. I got a phone call from the broker, and I looked down at my phone, asleep still. I looked down at my phone and went, I better answer this. So I answered it, and he said, "Hey, Greg, you guys still interested in buying that bar?" I was like, "Well, yeah, sure. What's the deal?" So he told us how much they wanted for it and what kind of the story, what was going on. And they had to shut the doors there for reasons I don't need to get into. But they had to shut the doors there, and we flew back to El Paso flew back to Austin from El Paso. And the next week or so, we owned a bar.
Yeah, got it up and running within 3 months.
During South by.
Yeah, we opened up in March 11th.
Just before South by.
March 11th, right during South by. We thought, well, this will be a good test.
Shit.
Let's open up right before South by Southwest.
Right. And that transitions beautifully into why in the world are y'all doing this? Why a live music venue in Austin?
Oh, we've always loved live music.
But it didn't start off that way. So I moved to Austin in the early 90s, right after high school. My brother had moved here exactly 1 year and 1 day before I did. And I thought, I'm going to follow my big brother, and I'm going to Austin when I graduate high school. And I did. I graduated high school and moved to Austin July 4th of 1994. And I met a bunch of dudes that's what they did. They went down to 6th Street and they listened to live music, and that's what I did. I spent 12 days a week on 6th Street. I mean, literally, I'm not bullshitting. If there's 12 days in a week, I was there. Steamboat and Black Cat, those were my two that I just went back and forth, between. And then when I met her, I kind of introduced her to the local scene.
Yep, our first date was at Momo's to see Jeff Klein. Remember? Yeah, it was our first date, and he kind of introduced me.
She liked me then.
I did like him then. And we just, he shared his love of live music with me, and that's what we did. Every night of the week, we were out seeing a show.
So y'all are downtown for like 8 years and then moved down to South Lamar almost 8 years ago. What was the reason for leaving 5th Street and relocating to South Lamar?
Well, I'll speak to a few of the reasons. One is downtown had just, slowly started evolving and changing, and it was getting more and more challenging to get live music lovers to come downtown. The parking situation had changed. The whole vibe of the downtown area was really evolving into something that we did not enjoy anymore. I think the last year we were at that location, I don't know how many times we had to call police for violence occurring right outside our front doors. And it just got to be where...
I think there are 3 stabbings down
Yeah,
there,
I mean, it was
right
just
on the
ridiculous.
corner.
Right there on 5th and Brazos.
In the last 6 to 7 months we were there. It
Yeah, and we just were like, what are we doing, you know? And at that point, we were nothing but music. Like, that's what we were focused on, and that's, you know, what we loved. And we were just like, we can't do this here anymore. So we kind of thought about changing and, you know, finding another location. And we kind of had that in the back of our minds, and I'll let you kind of go from there as to what happened. We just kind of fell in our lap that we could move.
Well, it's kind of funny. We actually talked about, several times her and I talked about actually selling the club and just moving to Costa Rica or some shit. Just to get away, you know what I mean? We've never even, to this day, we've never even been to Costa Rica. But we thought, we researched it. We researched it and really thought about maybe doing that. I'm getting looks from her. The reason I'm bringing that up is because obviously that didn't happen. We didn't do that. We continued to just do what we were doing down there. And then one day, guys who now own and run Handlebar came to us and said, hey, you've been here for a while. We love the rooftop. Notice what you've done. We've got a concept for a place, and we'd love to buy you out of your lease. And that's how we moved. I mean, it just happened that way. And it was perfect because, like she said, downtown, man, it was becoming more and more. People want to park when they come to a live music venue. They don't want to have to, go park under the 6th Street Bridge on 35 and walk a couple miles to get where they, to a show they want to go see. And they started charging for parking. That's another thing. Once the parking thing came, I mean, there were times I almost got in fist fights with the parking maids, walking around giving people tickets. Our bartenders on our busiest nights would have to go pay their meters. They'd have to leave the bar to go pay their meters, when we're slam-packed busy. And it just was becoming more and more of a challenge. So we decided to sell our lease to those guys, and it took us 9 months to build this place, but
all right, thanks y'all. We're going to take a really short break and we'll be right back with more after this quick message. Noises and Signals is a great resource for Austin music news by real journalists that know what they're doing and how to craft a compelling and informative story. Sign up for their newsletter to make sure you're not missing anything about the Austin music scene. All right, welcome back. I am here with Greg and Destiny Ware from 1-to-1 Bar, and I wanted to ask y'all to please help educate me and other musicians. What are some of the challenges venue owners face that as musicians we might not be aware of?
Well, I think one of the things that comes up a lot, and I don't want to say we're more advocates than most, but we do have a good understanding of musician struggles, and that's something that we're very cognizant of, and it's not something that we don't think about constantly when we're booking this venue. That being said, the old thought and adage of, well, if a room sounds good, it should have a built-in crowd is not true anymore. People are not going to come into a venue and pay cover for a band that they do not know. And, I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for saying that, because a lot of people think that venues should have built-in crowds if it's a good room. And maybe that was the case 20, 25 years ago, where people would be adventuresome and say, I'm going to pay $5 and check out this band. It does not happen anymore. It's like pulling teeth to get people to pay for music. That's a whole nother issue. So I think if musicians, if they had a better understanding of that, not necessarily, doesn't necessarily help them out any, but, right. But, they've got to understand when you play a room like this, because this is a destination venue. Nobody's going to come in off the street to hear your band if they don't already know you. That's kind of, that's an issue. It's an issue, and it's one that we struggle with all the time.
Especially now more that we don't have the walk-by traffic.
Right. Downtown we had the wide open windows, and people could hear the band and be like, hey, I like that band, I'm going to come check them out. Here it truly is a destination venue. So it's different from a restaurant that has live music playing in the background.
Yeah, and I think musicians fail to understand that. I think we have a responsibility to the venue to promote the show and bring people in. I mean, y'all got to pay rent just like we do.
That's a two-way street too, though, man. I mean, that's a big controversial discussion that I've seen multiple times on Facebook and other social media places where somebody says, well, it's the band's responsibility to bring in the crowd. Well, it's not. It's the venue's responsibility to bring in the crowd. And that goes back to what Destiny was saying just a little while ago. I can't guarantee that I'm going to have 100 people in here for your show who don't know you. I mean, people don't want to pay a cover to go see a show that they don't know anything about. Right. There are some people, we do have some regular customers that we try to, when we put a show on our website, we try to add videos and a bio or a decent description of what this band may be about. And we try to help sell that band. You know what I mean?
It's a partnership.
And it is. It's a partnership.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people look at it that way. I think that we try to cater to a lot of the newer bands in Austin that are maybe just getting started. They may not understand it that way. You know what I mean? But it is. It should be a partnership.
In order for it to work, it has to be. I mean, it has to be a partnership. The artists have to do their part. The venue has to do their part. If both parties, do their best, then the outcome is generally favorable for everybody
right
involved.
Anything can happen, but you have to at least cover all the basics. Thank you all so much for being on the show. I'm going to have you back on later this month, and be sure to check out 1-to-1 down on South Lamar. They are one of the venues doing it right. We'll be right back after this message.